Hello, and welcome to the Healthy Human Podcast. My name is Callie. I'm your podcast host, and I'm so excited to have you here today listening to today's episode, wherever you are, if you're walking, driving, working. Thanks for being here. Big shout out to you. You guys, I'm so excited for this episode today because I feel like we're going to just catch up on life and also talk about imposter syndrome and doubting yourself and just kind of common struggles that I think a lot of us feel, especially as we're navigating our life, our 20s, post-grad season, college, whatever season of life you're in. This is honestly very relevant. So before we get into things, make sure if you love the podcast, you leave a rating and tag me in your stories on Instagram at healthyButHumanPod. It always means so much when you guys do that, and I really appreciate you, and I love seeing you guys listening to the episodes and just loving them. So thanks for always making my day with that. You guys are seriously the best. Okay. Let's get into our little self check-in. So if you are new to the podcast, every single episode we do a self check-in to just ground yourself and get very present with wherever you are. Sometimes I've noticed when I'm in a very busy day, my mind feels like a jumble mumble of mess, and all it takes is a couple questions, just get present and continue my day with some success and feeling good. So wherever you are, I want you to just take a big deep inhale through your nose, growing tall, filling your lungs with lots of goodness, lots of confidence, and then exhale, releasing anything holding you back, any negativity, self-doubt, just let it go. Okay. Whenever you're ready, I want you to ask yourself, how am I feeling today on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being amazing, 1 being not the best ever. Just get real with yourself here. And now ask yourself, what is something that I can do to make my day a little bit better? Maybe it's listening to the podcast. Maybe it's going on a walk. Maybe it's making yourself a yummy warm meal. Now, I want you to ask yourself, have I drank enough water today? If you haven't drank water in the past 30 minutes, I want you to go ahead, grab your nice cup of water and take a sip in 3, 2, cheers. To hydrating our hot butts. Okay. Now I want you to ask yourself, have I stood up in the past hour? If you haven't, go ahead and stand up, shake out the legs, shake out the arms, get the blood flowing, and then resume. You guys, I think I talked about this last week. I don't even know anymore. The times, the days are just blending together. But I got a walking treadmill, and it is actually a game changer. I have it. It's like a foldable one, and I have it in my room so I can create content while walking. I can put it underneath my kitchen counter and put my laptop on my counter and do work while walking. So that's been a game changer for getting the blood flowing and getting the steps in. So little random side note there. Okay, let's get back into the check-in. I want you to now ask yourself, what is something that I am so proud of myself for accomplishing this month? It can be something small, something big. Just think back to a win that you've had so far. Cool. Something I love to do with just my wins is I like to write down every week my wins and lessons I've learned. It helps me a lot with remembering what happened in the week and also feeling accomplished for the little things in life. Okay, now I want you to ask yourself, what is something I'm currently struggling with at the moment? And now a follow-up question is, how can I make this struggle a little bit less powerful? So what is something you can do to make this struggle not be as much of a struggle, if that makes sense? So maybe it's processing, let yourself process. Maybe it's being kinder to yourself. It could be anything. And the final question I have for you is not so much a question, more of I challenge you right now to tell yourself an affirmation. What is something that is a truth about you? It can be, I am courageous. I am worthy. I am beautiful inside and out. So I want you to tell yourself an affirmation right now in your head or out loud. Just speak it out. Believe it. Feel it. And let's get into things. Okay, you guys. So I had to just fully move my setup into a different room because my office is right next to the garage and John is currently working on fixing our boat. Our boat's name is Lil Yachty, in case you didn't already know that. We have this, I think it's a 14-foot boat. It's blue. It's cute. Its name's Lil Yachty. And it's been broken for like 2 months. So he's currently fixing it in the garage, and it was getting like a little loud with the engine revving. And I was like, you know what? We're just gonna move rooms. So anyways, let's get into our life updates. I am currently feeling sick. I got back from a trip last night at 1 a.m. and it was such a fun trip, you guys. So me and John, if you didn't know, is my fiance. We flew to Texas. We live in Florida right now. And we went to Fredericksburg, Texas, where we went to his sister's wedding. And it was literally so beautiful, you guys. If you haven't been to Texas before and you're wanting to go, Fredericksburg is such a little gem in Texas. It's this little town. It has a lot of German influence, and their pastries are actually unreal. Like they're known for like German pastries. And if you go there, you're going to notice the German pastry bake shop, whatever you call it, has so like the most massive line ever, but it's insane. Like John's dad went and got everyone like 3 boxes of these pastries because their entire family was staying at this winery for the wedding. And there was like Nutella croissants, there were kolaches, there were just all these Danishes. It was actually amazing. And then there's also this cute little coffee shop I went to like 3 days in a row called, I think it's Callie Coffee. Super yummy. Fredericksburg is known for their peaches. And I got this Greek yogurt parfait. I'm not even joking, you guys. 3 days in a row. 3 days in a row. Because it had this spiced peach puree in it. And it was like actually unreal. So we went to Fredericksburg, and it was such a beautiful wedding. As I said, it was at a winery, and it was just so picturesque and peaceful. And it was cool because basically everyone was staying on site. So it was like a big family just get together bash. And there was more than just the wedding. Like there was a welcome party, a brunch, obviously the rehearsal at dinner, all that stuff. It was so fun. But as you can probably tell and hear in my voice, I am wiped out. My social battery right now is at a 0% capacity. I'm so freaking tired, and I just apologize for just this hoarseness in my voice because, you know, I gotta drink some tea. But anyways, we got back at 1 a.m. last night. Also, we went to John's family ranch after the wedding. It's also in Texas, and I don't know what it is, but I learned that I have a hidden talent, you guys. I learned that I am a cow whisperer, and I don't know like how this happened, but basically John and I were fishing, and I was kind of getting annoyed because I don't know what it is. Like fishing's fun for me. Number one, I don't like to touch the fish. So if I catch a fish, like we do catch and release, and I genuinely do not want to touch it. So I'm like, John, like, can you take it off the hook? Like, I don't know what to do with it. And so anyways, fishing's, I don't know. I'm still warming up to it, but John's a huge fisher, and we were fishing, and I was like, you know what? I don't really want to do this right now. So I'm going to go and look at some cows. There was an entire herd of cows nearby. And I was like, you guys are going to think I'm so weird, but just listen to the story. So I sometimes make weird animal noises at my dog because he does like the cute little head tilt thing where he's like, oh, what is that? So sometimes I'll moo at him. I know it's really weird, but it's so funny. Anyways, I was like, you know what? I've clearly mastered the moo because my dog thinks it's really interesting and he thinks it's like legit, I guess. So I started mooing at these cows, and they all came over to me. Like they were all, as a massive herd of cows, walked up to me like very slowly. And I obviously was like, oh my gosh, like this is intimidating. Like I don't even know like if this is safe. But I was just standing there very still. I was like, I'm okay, I'm safe, like we're good. And I just kept moving at them, and finally one of them sniffed my leg, and then I got to pet it, and I pet like 4 more on their heads. And I was like, this is actually so beautiful and so surreal, just like having animals that are so powerful and big just like all around me. And I was just like trusting God there, because I was like, I'm safe, I'm fine, like I'm gonna be okay. And it was really, really cool. So that was fun. And I did it another time. The next day, the same thing happened. And John's entire family was like, what? And I was like, I don't know. So that was that. That was really cool. But other than that, it was such a fun weekend. I took like 2 days off of work and social media, and I mentioned this on my Instagram story, but something that I struggle with is because I'm an entrepreneur and it's my business and my business is like my baby. It's really hard for me to take a step back and take time off. And I know I need it. I know breaks are really important, but like sometimes it's just hard. And so I'm trying to release that control. And so I took 2 days off, and today I was like, I'm going to like just be easy and rest up today, but I've been working, but I need to rest because I clearly feel like sick. Anyways, that's the updates. Lots of fun projects in the works for you guys. Something with cycle syncing coming up and merch on the horizon. So I can't wait to give you guys more of an update on that. But otherwise, I cannot wait for this little topic today. We're talking about some imposter syndrome stuff. I'm going to share my story of how I became a fitness instructor and entrepreneur. I think a lot of you guys have been asking me this question. I know a lot of the people that follow me are interested in becoming instructors, all that stuff. So I want to share my story because you're going to be a little shocked, honestly, how it all started. And yeah, so let's get into this thing. I became a Pilates, no, we're going to backtrack. So when I was in college, I went to University of Miami, and I was 19 at the time. It was my sophomore year. I think it was it my sophomore or junior year? I don't even know. I think it was my sophomore year of college. I was 18, I think. And I loved bar. So I think I've mentioned this before in previous episodes about like my fitness journey and stuff. But for anyone who hasn't listened to that, basically I was a competitive figure skater for most of my life, and I would do a lot of high impact training for my skating. And I started struggling with knee injuries. So I had to start doing more low impact workouts in order to keep strengthening my body in addition to the on ice training. And I discovered Barre, specifically Pure Barre, and it's a franchise. And it was so funny because at the time I was 15 years old. I wasn't even old enough to technically take the class. So my mom had to sign off on this special form, and they let me in, and I was like this little baby taking the class, and I fell in love with it. So if you don't know what Barre is like a blend of Pilates, ballet, and yoga. It's really, really fun. If you've never taken it, I definitely recommend doing it. I have some Pilates classes on my studio, Spice Studio, by the way. It's like more of a blend of Pilates and Barre. So that's my little touch of Barre. But I became an instructor when I was 19. I think it was either 18 or 19 years old. I think it was 2019 is when I became an instructor. And basically, I remember I was like, I really want a job. Like, I want to work in fitness. I love Barre. Like, let's just try this out. I hadn't been certified before in anything fitness. So I walked up. I was like, do I need to have my personal trainer certification to teach here? And they were like, no. So we actually have our own training program that all of our instructors have to go through. So they ended up flying me out to Denver to their headquarters. And I spent a weekend being trained in Pure Barre. It was a very, very like, you know, when so much information is thrown at you, it's like overwhelming, like information overload. That was how the weekend was, but it was literally such a blast. And you guys, I remember I was the only one who was underage, and all of the other girls who were becoming instructors would all like go out at night and like go to these bars and all this stuff. And I was like a little baby, and I was like, I can't go out with you guys. As you know, I've been obsessed with cycle syncing my foods, which is basically when you're eating certain types of food to help with your hormone fluctuations throughout each phase of the menstrual cycle. The only issue I'm running into is in the recipe department, because since you know I run my own business, I do find it really hard to fit in time to cook a nutritious meal that fits my hormones needs. I recently discovered Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well, with dinners that work for you, not the other way around, and love how convenient and easy it is to cook up a balanced meal with the right nutrients for my cycle, with pre-portioned and prepped ingredients, including pre-measured sauces, spices, and dressings. I'm the type of person who gets burnt out quickly from the same meal over and over, and yes, unfortunately, I'm sad to say my yogurt bowl obsession is currently on pause for this exact reason. So the fact that Green Chef lets you choose from 30 plus recipes weekly and mix and match meals from different dietary preferences is such a vibe. Also, little fun fact, as you probably know, any sort of packaging can cause waste, but Green Chef is the only meal kit that is both carbon and plastic offset. They offset 100% of their carbon footprint as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. So if you've been struggling in the cooking department and need some delicious meals that are quick and easy to create, go to greenchef.com/Callie60 and use code Callie60 to get 60% off plus free shipping. That's greenchef.com/Callie60 and use code Callie60 to get 60% off plus free shipping. Go check it out. You guys, last week I was in such a funk for literally no reason. I felt anxious thoughts race through my head combined with that feeling of needing to cry. And I'm not gonna lie, when I fall into these funks, it's super challenging trying to stay consistent on social media every day while not feeling that 10 out of 10 on my self-check-in scale. But something that has been helping me so much on the not so great days is Headspace. Headspace combines scientifically proven benefits of meditation and mindfulness with modern practices. They have guided meditations, mindfulness practices, breathing and calming exercises, and so much more. These tools can help reduce anxiety, boost your mood, and help you sleep better. I recently did one of Headspace's walking meditations when I was feeling like I had a weird mind fog going on, and after just 10 short minutes, I found myself reconnected to myself, feeling peaceful and present with my surroundings. In my opinion, though, the best part about Headspace is their library for over 1,000 hours of clinically proven mental health exercises. So you're always going to have a large variety to pick from for your specific need. Another game changer meditation that I found is their ocean breathing to help reduce anxiety. I'll add it in the middle of the day when I'm feeling cloudy or unable to relax and focus. Headspace has helped me and more than 100 million people worldwide. They can help you too. Listen up. You do not want to miss this. I've arranged something special. For a limited time, all of you can try Headspace free for 30 days by going to headspace.com/Callie30. You won't find this offer anywhere else. You must use my link HEADSPACE.com/Callie30 to unlock all of Headspace free for 30 days. This is not something they normally do, so go to headspace.com/Callie30.
So, how does it feel when you play Roll Up to Win with Tim Hortons? Buy a hot or cold beverage using the Tim's app and find out. Roll in the app for a chance to win prizes ranging from free coffee and donuts to a Universal Orlando resort vacation or a sweet car. Oh, don't forget the TV. And this year, every roll is a shot at a $1,000 daily giveaway drawing for two $500 prizes. Roll up to win and get treated by Tim's. No purchase necessary. Account registration required. 50 U.S. and D.C. 18 plus entered by 4/2/23. See rules at rolluptowin.com for free entry and full details. Void in Florida and where prohibited.
So I was very young for becoming an instructor, but I didn't let my age stop me. I was like, this is something I really want to do, and I feel very passionate about it. So I decided I'm going to pursue this. Anyways, fast forward, I get back to the studio from my training weekend, and I had to do this video to test out to get my certification. It was like the final test in order to become an instructor. And I passed it. And then following that, I started actually teaching classes. You guys, I remember this so clearly. It was one of those moments in my life that was very pivotal. It was 6 a.m. I was teaching a class and the owner of the studio was taking my class. Anyways, I thought I did a really good job. I was working really hard to get good at teaching. It didn't come naturally to me at first. For anyone who's ever taught fitness, specifically bar, Pilates, some instructors do this, but in bar fitness, you teach to the beat of the music. And it's a very musical style of class. You have choreography, it's like there's so much happening at once. Like you're having to change the song for every section of class you're switching to. You have all these different choreo changes that happen really fast. Like, oh, I'm pulsing one for 4/8, and then I'm going to switch immediately to circles. So there's a lot happening. You have to monitor the class, do hands-on corrections. It was a lot to learn at once. And I remember this one class, I was teaching it, and I thought I did such a good job. I was like, I've improved a lot since I started. You guys, after the class was over, it was 6 a.m. I think it was like 6 a.m., 6:45. The class was a 6 a.m. class, so it was probably like 6:50 at this point. I was so tired. And the owner sits me down, and she's like, so how did you think you did? And I was like, I think I did pretty good. Like, I think I'm improving. And she goes, honestly, that was a mess. And I remember I started sobbing. Like, it was one of those moments when I was so tired and so just like, it was pushing me so far out of my comfort zone as is being a fitness instructor, because I'd never done it before. And to hear the owner of the studio tell me that it was a mess made me break. I was like, I'm trying so hard. Like, I literally don't understand. So that was the moment of time when I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't think I'm good enough at this. I feel like an imposter up there. I feel like all of the clients look at me and know and see right through me that I have no idea what I'm doing and that I'm nervous and all this stuff. So for the first 3 months, my teaching career felt like this. I was really having a hard time becoming a good, solid barre instructor. And I think a lot of times people look at me now and they're like, yeah, she has it all together. She has her own Pilates studio. She has over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. This is so easy for her, all this stuff. And I just love like taking a step back and looking at how far I've come, looking at the starting point. And the reason I'm sharing this story, whether or not you're a fitness instructor or you want to be one or you don't want to be one, the point of this story and so many people's success stories you're going to hear all start at this beginning point. For some people, it comes easier than others. But for a lot of people who are pretty successful, you hear stories like this where they didn't have it all easy at first. For me, it was really challenging. I worked my butt off to become a good instructor. I was also a full-time college student at the time, and I was having this job consume me because I wanted to be so good at it, but it was hard. So about 3 months into it is when this little flip just switched overnight. All of a sudden, everything became natural to me. Everything made sense. I was learning my classes in less than 30 minutes versus memorizing things for 2 hours before the class started. I was remembering people's names. I was understanding and being able to read the room a lot better. Everything became easier for me. And this was that pivotal moment when I realized, wait, all of this hard work is paying off. I can do this. I am a good instructor. And of course, as you know in most journeys, you have another wave happen. And in Pure Barre, there are 3 different class styles, or there used to be. So I was getting certified in another class style because I'd mastered the first class style. Second one was a beast for me. It felt like the same thing all over again. It didn't feel natural. It felt challenging. I felt like I wasn't good at it. I felt like an imposter. I felt that good enough self-doubt. But I worked at it and I didn't give up on myself. I seeked out help from other instructors who were more senior than me. I asked them questions. I asked them if they could take my classes and give me feedback. I became like a sponge, very receptive to people's feedback. And that was something that was very crucial in the learning process, is not taking things offensively, not taking criticism offensively, learning how to listen to people's feedback and see it from their perspective and apply it if needed. So it really was, the first few years of teaching was such an awesome experience for me because I definitely struggled with criticism at first and feedback or constructive criticism, but I learned how to handle it and I learned how to get out of my comfort zone and teach class styles that were new to me and public speak in front of clients in each class. I mean, teaching fitness for like a group class of fitness is public speaking, and that's a whole other beast of its own. So it was one of those moments where, looking back, I have so much to be proud about in that moment. And if you're in a phase of your life when you're just starting something out and you feel like you aren't good enough or you're feeling that imposter syndrome, like I know whenever I've in the past like started a new job, I felt that imposter syndrome. I'm like, I remember I had an internship where it was like a sales internship and I'd have to cold call CEOs all day. You guys, I was a literal college student cold calling a CEO of a massive company. I don't know how they let me talk to those people, but I literally felt like an absolute imposter. I think something I've realized in the post-grad journey is that most people have struggled with imposter syndrome. Every single person starts a beginner at something. Every person has a starting point. And whether you're starting your Pilates journey or you're starting a new job or you're about to graduate college and don't know what's coming next, I'm here to tell you that we all have those moments in life and they're going to keep happening, which is really cool because every time we have a new season happen or we start something new, we get to experience being a beginner all over again. I think something I learned from becoming a bar instructor is that whenever you have a new season of life happen or you start something new, it's important to persevere through the first wave of it and realize the first wave of it might feel a lot more challenging than it will in the future. I know anytime I start a new job, or I have in the past, like the first month is such a huge learning curve. And it's just really important to be kind to yourself and gentle with yourself through all of this process. Even if someone gives you negative feedback like I got in the beginning, it's important to not let it tear you down. Instead, let it fuel your fire of continuing to work and learn to become a better version of whatever you are doing. Also, something I have as like a little tip for navigating imposter syndrome is just the power of affirmations. I know how hard it can feel sometimes in your mind. I have sometimes a lot of thoughts that are really tearing me down and trying to hold me back. And something I've learned is just contradicting those thoughts. Like if I have a thought in my head that pops up being like, oh, you really think you're good enough to tell that person that? I will say out loud, or I'll say in my head, I am absolutely good enough because, and I will use something to show myself and to hush that voice in my mind that I am good enough. And I think a lot of times with imposter syndrome, it is basically telling you, oh, you're not qualified, you're not good enough, who do you think you are? So fighting those feelings, fighting those thoughts, fighting those mind just blocks trying to hold you back. Affirmations, it's so crucial. Something else that I've also found has been really helpful with just now that I even run my own business. I mean, every day there's a new thing that happens. There's a new challenge, something I have to learn that's new. And I mean, you guys, I could share so many experiences of feeling imposter syndrome. I mean, even when I became a holistic health coach, having one-on-one sessions with clients, I at first was like, should I even be doing this? But I learned, yes, I should. And here's why. God has a purpose for you. God has a plan for every single one of us. And I have learned time and time again that when he puts things in our life that maybe feel like they're too much for us, they are not. We can do everything with him. God gives us strength. And anytime someone asks me a question over DMs or anything that feels really hard to respond to, or I'm not totally sure, whatever, I will pray. I'll be like, hey God, what do you want me to say? And if I feel like he gives me an answer to say, I'll say it. But otherwise, I won't, and that's okay. So I've been really learning how to trust him with everything, all the seasons of life, all of the weird imposter syndrome feelings. And I know it's easier said than done, but truly, truly, God has you here for a purpose. And I know that whatever it is that you're struggling with or feeling that weird, I'm not good enough feeling, that's not coming from God. That's coming from the enemy who's trying to hold you back from doing the thing that God is letting you do. So if a door is opened, please know that you can do it, and don't give up on yourself, because being a beginner is actually really freaking cool. And if there's ever a moment when you don't have an answer for something, or you feel like maybe you don't know what you're doing, asking for help does not make you powerless. It makes you very powerful, and it helps you grow into an even more powerful version of you. Asking questions has gotten me where I am today. Asking questions on Google, asking questions to experts, reaching out to people. It is literally how we learn things. I mean, over the entire course of humanity, people pass down ideas and thoughts through storytelling. So I always say that just never be afraid to ask a question. And as you've probably heard in school, all teachers say this: there's no such thing as a stupid question. So that's my 2 cents, because it actually is very, very true. So I hope this helped you a little bit with your imposter syndrome feelings, whatever. And just know that you're not alone in it. I definitely think in your 20s, it is a very common feeling to experience. And I don't know what it comes from. Maybe it's coming from comparison. Maybe it's coming from looking at people's lives on the outside and thinking that their life is better than yours. I think maybe those are some things that I've experienced in the past, especially when I was teaching bar, taking someone else's class and being like, wow, she's so much better than me. What's wrong with me? That kind of feeling. So I always say, instead of comparing yourself, instead of feeling jealous, Look at someone who's more experienced and maybe has something that you are wanting to have, and look at that as inspiration. Look at that person as an expander, as someone who you can learn from. Because you can always become an even better version of yourself. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the person you are right now. Like, you are an awesome, amazing, good enough version of you. If you do see something though that you're like, I want to learn that skill, observe the people who have that skill, see what they're doing, ask them questions, and I promise you can make that skill happen in your life. I hope this episode was inspiring. I hope you're feeling motivated and excited, and let me know if you ever have any topic requests you want me to talk about or questions. You can always reach out to me on Instagram at healthybehumanpod. I always love when you guys submit questions, so please let me know. Also, be sure to leave a rating if you love this podcast. It helps so much. It helps us reach more people all around the world, which is really cool. So shout out to you guys for everyone who's left a rating. You're awesome. And I love seeing you guys listening to the podcast and having it actually change your lives. Like, that's so sick. And I just love this community so much. So I will see you next week. Have the best day. Keep shining, keep being awesome, and being healthy but human. Bye, my gorgeous queen.